As software engineers, we've all been there. The sprint is ending, the features are ready, but the test suite's a massive bottleneck. Whether it's maintaining brittle scripts or trying to keep up with rapid deployment cycles, QA often feels like it's a friction point in our workflows. This is where Kane AI can help. It's a Gen AI native testing agent designed to help modern engineering teams plan, author, and evolve end-to-end tests using natural language. It's not a replacement for your QA process, but an intelligent assistant that helps you scale. It bridges the gap between high-level requirements and executable code, supporting major frameworks that we already use like Selenium and Appium. In this video, we're going to do a deep dive into Kane AI, and I'll show you how to author tests directly in the browser, generate complex scenarios from just a screenshot or a PRD, and how Kane AI handles the heavy lifting of all automation. So this is Kane AI, and so when you land on their Kane AI agent here, this is the screen that you're going to see. And I just want to show you guys that there's two different modes that you can use. So you can use a quick author mode, which is where you record the things that you want to do manually, or even enter in text what you'd like to do for your test scenario. Or you could do something even more powerful, like generate the scenarios from something like a product requirement document or a PRD, or maybe different test cases that you want to cover specifically. And what's awesome is you can even connect to Jira or other tools and basically say, hey, here's this ticket that I want to cover, and these are the information in the ticket that we need to make sure we create tests for. So for our case here, I just first want to show you this quick author. And what we could do is I want to put this inside of our post-write folder. So anybody who remembers post-write, shout out to you. This is basically a precursor to my app now, which is called Ferryman, which lets you cross-post to all your different platforms. But I want to create a test automation for post-write, and specifically, I want to create an automation to ensure that users can actually log into my site. You can imagine that this is a very, very important flow in my application. If this doesn't work, basically nothing works. So I want to make sure we have an automation around logging in. And now let's author our browser test. And in here, what's great is you can actually choose the client that you want to use. So I want to use desktop, but just to show you, you can use mobile. So I could choose to use an Android or an iOS client, as well as all these different devices that you can choose from to run your test automation on. So let's go ahead and use desktop. If you needed to, you could even tunnel in or geolocate to specific areas in the world to make sure that you are accessing the site that you need to. If for some reason the site that you're using to test is something that's restricted to a certain VPN or geolocation, you can also set different browser options like Chrome. And then there's different time zones as well that you can set if needed. So for us, we don't need anything specific, so I'm going to go ahead and click author test. And now what this will do is Kane AI is actually going to spin up a server in the cloud for us so that we can start recording the automation steps that we need. And just like that, it's already connected. And now all we need to do is start doing the actual user behavior. And what's amazing is that Kane AI is actually going to record all the interactions that we do so that we can replay them and create an automation from it. So I'm going to go ahead and go to postwrite.ai, which is, again, my precursor to Ferryman, which you guys can check out if you're interested. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click login. And you can see already that basically Kane AI is actually recording the steps that I'm doing. So here we can sign into a user called kevin@demo.com, and then I'll type in our super secret, super important password here, and we'll sign into postwrite. And so we can see that that actually worked. So what I love now is that we have all the steps that we need for our test. We were able to open Postwrite AI, click on the login button, enter in our email and password, and click the sign in button. So now I'm going to go ahead and save this test automation. And what's great is now Kane AI is actually going to go ahead and generate all the automations that we need to actually have this test run and execute on our behalf. And so you can see here that now that we created this automation, we have 6 isolated concrete steps that are actually required to replay this or to test this functionality, which again is logging into our Postwrite site. Okay, and so right here, we can actually see that if we go to code, we can see that it's actually creating this automation for us using things like Python and Selenium because this is a browser test. But if you're doing something like mobile, it'd be using Appium. So now we're just going to give this a little bit of time, and we'll actually be able to see that this is going to finish, and we will have our automation ready to go. So the next thing I want to show you here, just while that generates, is that we could actually use generate scenarios as well. So what we could do is we could actually just show something like a screenshot of the thing that we want to test, and then ask Kane AI to create different automations and different test cases for us. So here, the other flow that we have in our website is signing up, right? So I took a screenshot of this, and now I just want to actually take this and upload from my device this screenshot that I took. And now let's just say something like, create test cases for me based on the sign up screenshot above. And now what I can do is I can also just configure a few different things. So maybe I want, let's say, 3 max test case scenarios. And then let's also say that for every single scenario, we want a maximum of 3 test cases. And if we wanted to, we could give additional project instructions here or give attachments, but I don't really think that that's actually needed in this current moment. So let's go ahead and go back. And now we can just click the generate button. So now again, this is going to, just from that screenshot, figure out what the screenshot is, figure out maybe some of the test cases that we should have and that we must have, and then it's going to generate for us. And you could also see that we could see a nice little progress indicator, and it gives us an overview of what's actually going on as it generates these cases for us. Okay, and while that's generating, we can just see that here we actually have the code for our login test. So we could actually go and look into the Selenium code that it generated with Python, and we could actually see how it's actually going to execute this test on our behalf. So just from recording that, it was able to create a Selenium and Python script to make sure that we can always reuse that automation and make sure that our login works correctly. So now we can see here that also Kane AI has finished for the signup flow. So you could see that it actually created 3 different test scenarios, and from each of these, it created like something like a positive case, 2 different positive cases, and then 1 negative case. So prevent account creation with a password that fails criteria. Obviously, it's a very important test case to actually have. Then we have must-haves as well, like attempt to create account with an invalid email format. Also, we need to test that. We need to make sure that doesn't work, and that's a negative case. And then we have another group of tests for our third case, which is sign up form accessibility and usability, which is awesome. And you can see it categorizes into should have and must have scenarios. And then for any reason, if we wanted to change any of these different things, we could either click directly in and change and modify the test steps directly, or delete them or reorder them. Or if we wanted to, we could even come in here and I could say test case 1, I want to do something specific or change it to do this specific thing. But I like these, I'm going to keep them. So for now, let's just say we only want to keep the first successful account creation with valid credentials. And let's just say here that I actually don't want to keep this one. Let's only keep these 2, and let's create and automate these 2 different things. So now we can configure more things. Obviously, the application under test is postwrite.ai, and we're just going to go ahead and click create and automate. But you can see we could also change different things here. So we can change different concurrency for the agent, etc. And we could also, if we wanted to, we could change, again, the client. We could have a desktop browser, a mobile browser, or a mobile app. So we'll just go ahead and click create and automate. And now we see that our test cases are automated successfully. So just like that, now these are actually running, which is really, really nice to see. And we'll see the output of them. Or if we wanted to, we could even jump into here and literally live, we could watch Kane AI actually run through these different steps, which is really, really cool and really, really powerful. And so just to jump back here, you can see that we actually have these 3 different flows running right now. And if we jump in here, we're looking live at what Kane AI is actually doing as it tests this automation. And look, this is pretty wild. You could literally see it going and typing John Doe. Now it's going to next, obviously try to go to the email field and type something else in. And this is all just from the screenshot that I gave it with a simple sentence of saying, create tests based on the screenshot that I just gave you. This is pretty amazing, and it really helps make sure that you speed up your tests. And so what's awesome is actually underneath our runs as well, like for login to Postwrite, we can actually go in and see all the different things that happen. We can check the commands that ran, the logs, we can check the network as well. So it's pretty powerful, the stuff that you could see here too, if you want to go back and debug a run. Something else that's also great about runs is not only can you see what has executed, but you could also see what's planned. So here I don't have any planned runs, but you could imagine that you might want to run nightly things, right? You might want to have automations run on your nightly builds to make sure that nothing gets promoted further on something like a staging environment to production if your automations fail or if all your test cases don't pass. So you could have something run on a scheduled cron basically, which is really, really powerful as well for your CI/CD pipelines. Something else that Kane AI lets you do that's really powerful is you can actually go in and look at the different versions that you can have of a test or an automation. So you can imagine if we changed our sign up flow and we wanted to see how the test changed over time, we could actually do that by comparing different versions, almost like Git. The other thing that we could see here too is that we are actually able to see the execution of the login to Postwrite automation, and we can see that it passed successfully. And now if we jump back to our completed tab too, we can also see that the screenshot that we uploaded and asked for an automation based on that screenshot for creating a new account also finished. And if we open this, we can see that now we also have these isolated steps, 17 total steps that are required for us to actually go to postwrite.ai, click all these different buttons and fields, fill them out, and actually create an account and sign in successfully, which is awesome. Something else that's great about Kane AI too is that you are actually able to integrate these automations directly into your CI/CD pipeline. So if you needed to, you could actually use these different commands and curl requests to call an automation and make sure that you only deploy something to a higher level environment, as we said before, if something like this automation passes. Because you want to make sure obviously that you're only promoting builds that pass and don't break anything. Otherwise, that's not going to be good for your users. So that's Kane AI. And the real power of it isn't just AI generation, it's how it integrates into the ecosystems that we already live in. From tagging issues directly in something like Linear to analyzing pull requests via the GitHub app, it's built to reduce the maintenance that usually kills productivity in large-scale enterprise projects. With Kane AI, you can actually see the thinking progress, manually refine steps, and export the actual code to see what's happening under the hood. If you want to try Kane AI in your own projects, I've included a link in the description below where you can sign up. And once you're in, you can start running these automations as part of your CI/CD pipeline to make sure that you're only deploying what's passed all your tests. Massive thanks to Kane AI for sponsoring today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.